Hey man, let's talk about something real. You gave her your time, your energy, your loyalty, and she still walked away. That part's not up for debate. That happened, and it hurt exactly as much as it felt like it did. But I want to challenge something before we go any further, because almost every piece of advice out there right now is going to tell you the goal is to make her regret it. To make her lie awake wishing she hadn't let you go. And I'm going to tell you straight up, that goal, the one everyone's chasing, is actually the thing keeping you stuck. Here's why. The moment your daily motivation becomes, I need her to feel something, you've handed her the steering wheel again. You've just done it in a sneakier way than begging her to come back. Same dependency, different outfit. You're still organizing your life around her emotional reaction. You've just convinced yourself it's a power move because the emotion you're chasing is regret instead of love. But dependency is dependency, no matter which feeling you're fishing for. So let's actually rebuild this from the ground up, because there's a real mechanism underneath the make her regret it idea. It's just aimed at the wrong target. The instinct to disappear after she walks away. That part's correct. Not because disappearing is a move designed to rattle her. It's correct because staying visible, staying available, staying one text away keeps you in a holding pattern where you can't actually heal or grow. Every message you almost send, every profile you almost check, is a small tax on your own nervous system. It keeps the wound open in real time. Cutting contact isn't a tactic aimed at her. It's basic triage aimed at you. And here's the part that gets skipped in almost every version of this advice. The reason disappearing works isn't because it manipulates her perception. It's because it removes the exhausting job of managing two people's emotions when only one of them is still in the relationship. The second you stop performing for an audience that left the building, you get all that energy back. That energy is what actually funds everything that comes next. Now here's where this branches away from the typical version of this advice, and it matters. The competitor framing says, level up so she sees you thriving, and it messes with her head. That's aiming a real, powerful process at a fake finish line. Getting into the gym, fixing your finances, sharpening your mind, none of that should exist as a message sent to a person who isn't even watching half the time. If you build a better version of yourself as a billboard for someone else, you've built something fragile. It only has value if she notices. And if she doesn't notice, or worse, if she notices and doesn't care, that whole structure collapses and you're right back where you started, except now you're also disappointed that the level up to make her regret it plan didn't land the emotional blow you were hoping for. There's a completely different reason to build yourself back up, and it's a better one because it doesn't depend on an audience at all. You rebuild because the version of you that existed inside that relationship made compromises, cut corners, and deprioritized things that actually mattered to you, probably for a while, probably without fully noticing it happening. Getting your body, your finances, your mind back in order isn't revenge. It's recovering ground you gave up somewhere along the way, whether she ever sees an inch of it or not. Let's go deeper on why the unaffected idea gets treated correctly in the original framing, but for slightly the wrong underlying reason. It says, regret comes from seeing you unaffected. True, but incomplete. Regret doesn't actually come from watching you perform indifference in your replies. Short texts, no emojis, calculated distance. People can smell performance from a mile away, and calculated coldness reads as exactly that. Calculated. Real indifference, the kind that actually lands, isn't something you type into a message. It's something that exists whether or not she ever sees a single word of it. It's the difference between a man who's carefully constructing a distant persona for an audience of one, and a man who's genuinely occupied with an actual life that doesn't have room left over to perform anything for her. This is the part almost nobody talks about, and it changes the entire equation. The moment you're actually indifferent, not performing it, actually there, you stop caring whether she notices at all. And paradoxically, that's exactly the energy that reads as unshakable from the outside, if she ever does happen to see it. You can't fake your way into that state through short replies and strategic emoji removal. You either build a life substantial enough that her absence doesn't register as a crater, or you don't, and every distant text you send is just anxiety wearing a costume. Now, the social proof piece, other people being drawn to you, her noticing, her comparing herself to them. Here's the problem hiding underneath that idea. If your version of moving forward requires an audience of people specifically positioned so she can see them, you haven't actually moved on. You've just built a stage set. A man who's genuinely rebuilding his life isn't thinking about camera angles for an audience he's hoping walks by. He's just living, and other people showing up in that life is a side effect of him being someone worth being around, not a prop placed for maximum visibility. Let's talk about something the competitor script never actually addresses, and it's the piece that determines whether any of this sticks. What do you do with the version of the story you tell yourself about why it ended? Because most men, after a breakup like this, quietly build a private narrative, usually one of two versions. Either, I did everything right and she's the villain, or I failed completely and I'm the villain. Both versions feel true in the moment. Both are almost always wrong, or at minimum incomplete. And here's why this matters more than any gym session or any curated text reply. Whichever narrative you settle into becomes the operating system for your next relationship. If you walk away convinced she's simply the villain, you'll walk into the next relationship guarded, testing, waiting for the same betrayal to repeat, and you'll often manufacture the exact dynamic you were trying to avoid. If you walk away convinced you failed entirely, you'll walk into the next one, overcorrecting, overgiving, trying to prove something to a person who never asked you to prove anything. Neither version lets you actually learn what's true, which is usually something quieter and less dramatic than either extreme. A mismatch, a timing issue, a pattern you brought in without realizing it, a pattern she brought in without realizing it. This is where real change actually happens, and it's slower and less satisfying than the revenge fantasy, but it's the only version that compounds. Sit with what actually happened, honestly, without narrating yourself as either the hero or the villain. What did you actually deprioritize? What patterns showed up here that have shown up before in other parts of your life? What did you tolerate that you shouldn't have? That inventory is uncomfortable, and it's also the only thing standing between you and repeating this exact situation with a different name attached to it 2 years from now. Now let's talk about timeline, because this is where most men sabotage themselves without realizing it. The urge to prove something, whether that's regret or growth or indifference, moves fastest in the first few weeks, right when you're least equipped to execute anything convincingly. That's exactly the window where the nervous system is still raw, still reactive, still one weak moment away from breaking the very silence you're trying to hold. The men who actually pull off looking unshakable aren't the ones who decided to look unshakable on day one. They're the ones who gave themselves permission to actually be a mess privately for a period, processed it in ways that didn't involve her at all. Friends, journaling, therapy, physical exhaustion through training, whatever actually works for you, and only presented calm publicly once calm was genuinely closer to true. Skipping that private processing step and jumping straight to the performance of composure is exactly how men end up sending a "you good" text at 1 a.m. 11 days into cutting contact for good. Here's a distinction worth sitting on for a second, because it's the difference between two men who look identical from the outside but are building completely different futures. Man one spends 6 months doing everything right: the gym, the goals, the silence, the discipline, but every single day, buried underneath the routine, there's a quiet countdown running, a hope that she'll see it, a hope that she'll come back. He's doing all the right actions attached to the wrong internal engine. Man 2 does the exact same actions, but somewhere around month 2 or 3, the engine actually switches. He stops checking. Not because he trained himself not to check, because he genuinely stopped needing to know. The actions look the same on a calendar. The internal experience is a completely different category of thing. And here's the part that should actually change how you think about this whole topic. Only man 2 is actually free. Man 1 is still fully tethered. He's just tethered with better posture. So if regret isn't the goal, what is? Here's the honest answer, and it's less flashy than make her regret it, but it's the only version that actually holds up. The goal is building a life solid enough that whether she ever feels a single ounce of regret becomes completely irrelevant to your day, not because you've suppressed caring, because you've genuinely outgrown needing her reaction as a measuring stick for whether your rebuilding worked. That's not a slogan. It's a different relationship with the entire situation. Most men spend years accidentally chasing a scoreboard that only she can see the results of. The actual win is walking away from the scoreboard altogether. And here's the strange, almost unfair outcome buried in all of this. The version of you that stops needing her to regret anything, the one who actually rebuilt from a real foundation instead of a performance, is also, without even trying, the version most likely to make her feel exactly what the original advice promised. Not because you engineered it, because genuine, unbothered growth is simply rarer and more magnetic than performed indifference ever was. You get the outcome everyone's chasing as a byproduct of chasing something completely different, and that's the part nobody selling the revenge fantasy wants to admit, because it requires patience instead of tactics. So here's the actual takeaway. Don't build your rebuild around her noticing. Don't organize your growth around a reaction you can't control and shouldn't be chasing in the first place. Cut contact because you need the space, not because it's bait. Rebuild because the old version of you cut corners somewhere, and that's worth fixing, regardless of who's watching. And somewhere in that process, without a countdown running underneath it, you'll actually arrive at the thing everyone's been telling you to fake from day one. Except it'll be real, it'll be yours, and it won't cost you a single ounce of your attention on someone who already left. That's the actual version of moving on. Not a performance for an audience of one, a life rebuilt for an audience of exactly one, you.